so this is contacts, cosmetics, and your eyes. How to look your best and also keep your eyes healthy. Okay, you can't see my mouse in there. Okay, good. So I can point to stuff. That's good. So for starters, who am I? I'm a cosplayer. I go by Kiara online pretty much everywhere. But in real life, I am an optometrist. I am Dr. Smith. I graduated from the University of Waterloo in 2013. So I've been doing this for about just over 10 years. So my goals for this presentation, I don't want to like scare you into not wearing contact lenses or like get you to, you know, not wear makeup or stuff when you're cosplaying. That's not the point of this presentation. It's always the healthiest for your eyes, but I just want to make you aware of some of the things that can go wrong, educate you on why those things are happening, and give you some tricks on how to keep your eyes healthy when you're using cosmetics on and around your eyes. So the topics we're going to cover, we're going to start with some eye anatomy, because if you don't know the structures of the eye, you can't really explain what's going on with them. And then we're going to go into the colored contacts. That's going to be the main bulk of this presentation. And then finally, we're going to get into a little bit of cosmetics and makeup. That's not really my big field, so we're just going to touch a little bit of it on it at the end. Warning before we get too far into this presentation, there will be some images that some people are not going to want to look at. I will try to give warnings before any of those pop up. All right, so to start with, a little bit about eye anatomy. So I made these diagrams myself. I used some free resources from Clip Studio Paint to make this more anime related. So we've got some structures of the eye listed here. A lot of them are duplicated between the two. So the first picture is a side view of the eye. So the one you can see highlighted on there, the cornea, that's the clear front of the eye, the clear fiber on the front of the eye. You can't really see that when you're looking straight on someone's eye, so that's why I've included the side view. And then we have the typical front view. The eyelashes, everyone knows what the eyelashes are. They're the little hairs on the top of our eyelids. Eyelids, obviously the skin that goes over the eyes. The pupil is the black hole in the middle of the eyes. It's actually not a structure. It's just an opening in the iris. The iris is the next one on the list. That's the colored part of the eye. It's actually in muscle. So that's why the pupil gets bigger and smaller, because that muscle expands and contracts. I've labeled on the right image here the lacrimal duct. That's where all the tears drain from the eye. And then back to the left picture, again, that's that cornea, the clear part on the front of the eye. And then we got the limbus. That's where the white part of the eye meets the clear part of the eye. And then I've also drawn on some of the tear glands. You can't see those visibly. That's why they're kind of dashed lines on there. So the lacrimal gland is what most people think of when they think of their tear glands. And that's up behind the eye. And then the meibomian glands, these are a little bit lesser known. They are little glands that sit in behind each of your eyelashes, and they produce kind of a thick, oily tear, and those are really important for the health of our eyes, and they're also going to be kind of important for this presentation. So I've highlighted sort of the main structures that are going to be affected by cosmetics and that sort of thing. So the eyelashes, eyelids should probably be highlighted on there as well. The cornea is one of the big ones for this, the limbus, and then those meibomian glands. There's just a few little did you knows facts about the eyes. So did you know that the cornea, that clear part on the front of the eye, it's the only tissue in your body that does not receive oxygen from the blood supply. If it did, you'd have blood vessels growing in the clear part of your eye and you wouldn't be able to see. This tissue gets its oxygen from the air. So what happens when we put a contact lens on the eye? We're going to get back to that later. My other did you know is that the eye produces a number of different kinds of tears, 3 different kinds of tears. It produces a mucousy tear that sits on the bottom of the eye that sticks the other tears to the eye. It produces a water layer of tear that's produced by the big lacrimal gland. And then it produces an oily kind of tear that's produced by those meibomian glands. And these 3 tears have a gradient across the front of the eye. And when you put a contact lens on the eye, that breaks up that gradient. Modern contact lenses your brand name contact lenses go through a lot of surface treatments to not break up the homeostasis of those tiers. All right, so obviously big ones here. Why should you not buy your contact lenses from overseas? So these would be your like AliExpress type contact lenses. So the first one is it's not legal. Contact lenses, including cosmetic contact lenses, ones that don't have prescription and just change the color of your eye, those are licensed medical devices in Canada, which means that you need a license from Health Canada to distribute them in Canada, which a lot of these overseas companies do not have. Because none of these are actually legal to sell in Canada, there's no real quality control. You don't really know what you're getting, what you're going to be putting in your eyes. You kind of get what you pay for. I bought one pair of cheap contact lenses. It was like $10. I bought it for my Mommy Tomoe costume, and I was going to wear it for MetroCon. I wore them for MetroCon. And then there was another convention a few weeks later. I was going to wear them again for that convention. But when I opened the lenses, all the color was starting to peel off. There was a bunch of black bits floating in the solution, and they were unwearable. I could not wear them. They were gross. Ew. And then the final reason is that the material that these lenses are made with is really old. The material is made of a building block that was patented in 1953. That's older than a lot of your parents. So this is the material. This is polymacon. So we're going to have a little bit of science content in here. So this molecule you'll see in the middle, this is called polyhema. It's a hydrophilic plastic. So most plastics are hydrophobic. You think of your like saran wrap, you put a drop of water on it, it beads up into a nice round bead. Hydrophilic plastic, you put that drop of water on it, it lays out smooth. So this was first used in contact lenses in 1959. Some scientists in Czechoslovakia saw this molecule and was like, hey, this is a hydrophilic flexible plastic. We could make a lens out of this and it would be more comfortable on the eyes than those rigid, hard lenses that people have been wearing. So they first made that lens and it worked. It gave the person good vision, but the problem was that lens had 0 oxygen transmissibility, and it was also still pretty stiff and uncomfortable. So later they cross-linked it with some ethylene glycol dimethylacrylate and water to create a more flexible, more breathable lens. And that's basically what polymacon is. It's a combination of those 3 things. So it first received FDA approval in 1971. There is one brand of prescription lens that still uses this material that is from one of the big brands of contact lenses. And it's a daily lens, so it's really thin, and it doesn't need as much surface treatment because they just throw them out at the end of the day, and it's really cheap. So we sell this to people who need to be in a daily lens, but are on a little bit of a constrained budget. Otherwise, we don't look at this lens. So pretty much every colored contact lens, like cosmetic contact lenses, you'll see is made with this polymacon material. And the oxygen transmissibility of these lenses is almost 0. So it's the very first ones, the ones that were just polyhema, had literally no oxygen able to get through that. Remember back to our anatomy lesson, the cornea, the clear part of your eye, that's where the contact lens sits. And if no oxygen is getting through that lens, that means that tissue is getting no oxygen. All of the tissues in your body need oxygen to survive. So the oxygen permeability of this polymacon is about 8. And it's getting all of that from the water content in the lens. So oxygen transmissibility of 8, that means absolutely nothing to any of you, I'm sure. So for some context, the oxygen transmissibility of water, aka our tears, is 80. And the oxygen transmissibility of your typical lens that you would get from an optometrist nowadays, a silicone hydrogel lens, are over 100. So nowadays, with these silicone hydrogel lenses that we're wearing, this number is basically not useful to anybody because you're getting more oxygen than you would get from even just your tears. So yeah, if you're putting on one of these polymacon lenses, you're reducing the amount of oxygen to your eye by a factor of 10. So now we're going to go into what happens when the cornea does not get enough oxygen. So ahead is a couple images that might not be suitable for everybody. So if you want to just look away now, and then hopefully I'll remember to bring you back when we're done this next slide. So this is corneal hypoxia. So hypoxia, less oxygen. So this is when your cornea does not get enough oxygen. This first one here on the top left, that's corneal neovascularization. That's when you get blood vessels into your cornea because that's the only way for it to get oxygen. So these are new blood vessels that shouldn't be there, and this person probably cannot see very well. In addition to those new blood vessels being there, there's also a lot of fluid being introduced to that cornea. That's why there's all that cloudiness around those blood vessels. You don't want this. The second one down here, this is endothelial dystrophy. So endothelials are little water pump cells on the inside of your cornea. And if they don't get enough oxygen, they stop working. And if they stop working, then they stop pumping water out of your cornea, which means your cornea swells. This is one of the very common issues that cosplayers have, because this is what causes your vision to be a little bit blurry or cloudy when you're wearing those lenses. And a lot of people don't realize that this is why. These two are obviously very extreme examples of this. So endothelial dystrophy, that can over time become a permanent condition. Those endothelials can eventually die. And that's what has happened to this person over here. All right, so moving away from the ugly images there. So the good news is that a lot of this is preventable. And if you take care of your eyes, and if you have any of these issues starting, it usually goes away if you get it looked at. There's a few simple habits that you can do to prevent some of these things from happening. The first one is do not overwear the contact lenses. Polymake-on is recommended to only wear for about 8 hours at a time. That's because you don't want to take that oxygen away from your eye from longer than that. And if you, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I couldn't read the chat. So I was trying to make that smaller, there we go. Yes, you can see. Just don't wear your contact lenses for more than 8 hours. Yeah, so these are recommended not to be worn for more than 8 hours at a time. If you've been to an optometrist and you've been told you can wear your contact lenses for 12 to 14 hours, it's probably because you've been given a silicone hydrogel lens. So the second point is never sleep in a colored contact lens. So you're already reducing the oxygen by a factor of 10 when you just put this lens on your eye. So imagine how much more or how much less oxygen, I guess, you'll have going to your eye when your eyes are closed. And the last one on here is do not trust that a lens that says it's good for a year is actually good for a year. I will come back to that later in the presentation. We'll go over why you shouldn't keep these lenses for a year. And then the other things you can do to kind of help protect your eyes is, if possible, consider using one of these lenses instead. So Air Optics Colors. This is currently the only silicone hydrogel lens that is in color available on the website, or just available in general. You can buy them on websites. You can buy them on Clearly contact lenses. These are the only ones that I sell to my patients because they're the only silicone hydrogel lens. They're a little bit, you can see from this picture down here, they're maybe not quite as vibrant or bright as you might want for cosplaying, but they're going to be the healthiest ones for your eyes. I actually bought some. I was going to do a little unboxing to show you these lenses, but unfortunately, because my camera's not working, we can't do that. Sorry.
Show us in the Discord.
Okay, I'll do a little video
later
on my phone later, and I'll show. I've never actually tried them, so I was going to put them in and just kind of see how they work. Supposedly, they are pretty accurate to the photos that they show on their website. That's what I've heard from patients. The other one is the Dailies Color. These are a one-day lens that are available in colors. You wear them for just the one day, and then you throw them out. They're a good option as well. Unfortunately, they're available in pretty limited colors, and they're meant to give the eye a more natural look. So not always an option for cosplay. I was looking for a cosmetic contact lens that was in a daily. They used to be available, but I couldn't actually find any Canadian retailers selling them anymore. And unfortunately, all of the ones that I knew of from the States have had their wrists slapped in Canada and are no longer regulated to be sold here. So hopefully those will come back. All right, so what else can go wrong? Let's look at a few other things. Remember, my goal isn't to scare you into not wearing contact lenses. It's just to scare you enough that you will take care of your eyes when you do. So this is going to be another slide with a few pictures that are, not very pleasant to look at. So if you want to look away, do so now. All right, so this first one, giant cell papillary conjunctivitis. It's a little hard to tell from this image. This is the inside of someone's eyelid. So we flipped the inside out in this picture. And this surface should be a nice, flat, smooth, uniform, pinkish, peachy color. In this case, it's very bumpy. We see these little circular elevations there. And that's just a really uncomfortable eye. So this happens usually because you've overworn your contact lenses, and that lens has caused friction between the lens and your eyelid. And this happens more frequently with the colored contact lenses because these don't get as much of a surface treatment as your newer contact lenses, as well as the fact that this goes back to that don't trust that this lens is good for a year comment. The longer this lens is being used, the rougher the front surface of that lens is going to become, the more likely you are to get something like this. Second one here, this is contact lens peripheral ulcer. This picture looks pretty scary because it's bright green. That's only because we've put yellow dye in the eye that fluoresces under blue light. So this is the fluorescing. But you can kind of see this is the pupil here. This is the iris. This is the white part of the eye that is quite red because this person has this CLPU. This part here, this is where the skin cells on the front of the eye have died off or worn away, and that's a pool of tears sitting in that area that was excavated because there's no skin cells there. This usually happens again over wearing the contact lenses. This is more of the friction of the back of that lens on the clear part of your eye. So our first one was the surface of the lens rubbing on the lids. And this one over here is sort of the back surface of the lens rubbing on the cornea. Acute bacterial conjunctivitis, more commonly known as pink eye. Pink eye can be defined as a number of things, but this is most commonly the thing that people are referring to when they say they have pink eye. They have a bacterial eye infection. This is usually caused by poor hygiene with the contact lenses, not washing your hands before you put the contact lenses in, poor ability to put the lenses in, so they're hitting your eyelids and eyelashes a lot before it's getting into the eye. And again, over wearing the contact lenses, the rougher the front surface of that lens is, the less bacterial resistant it is. So again, the longer you wear those lenses, the higher the risk of getting a bacterial infection. And this last one, this is the big, we really do not want you to get this. This is acanthamoeba. This is a fungal infection of the front of the eye. Now, thankfully, this is basically limited to if you have stored your contact lenses in water, or you've gone swimming with your contacts in, or you've showered with your contacts in, any contact with the contact and water. Fungal infection is really not fun for your eyes. If you've ever had a fungal infection, like on your fingernails or toes, you know how stubborn they are. And a lot of antifungals that we have are also very toxic to the front of the eye. So you do not want this. Never, ever store your contacts in water. Never swim with your contact lens unless it's a daily and you're going to be throwing it out immediately afterwards. All right, and we're back. So the last point I wanted to talk to you about with regards to contact lenses is your circle lenses, doll lenses, scleral lenses. They have a number of different names. These are basically your large diameter lenses. So your 15 millimeter plus lenses. You can get them all the way up to 22, 23 millimeters for those like complete blackout lenses. These are very bad for your eyes. That's why they've been separated out, in addition to causing extra they're the, I don't know how I want to word this. They are the worst offenders for all of the previous things we have talked about, in addition to some other issues. One in particular, I brought this anatomy slide up again for this area called the limbus. The limbus is, again, where the white part of the eye hits the clear part of the eye. And that's where all of your stem cells are. Your corneal stem cells live in the limbus. And that's what your eye uses every time you get a scratch in the eye, anytime you get an eye infection. This is how your eye heals itself. When you use a circle lens, you damage those stem cells. So you will permanently reduce your eye's ability to heal itself. It will permanently reduce your eye's ability to heal itself. It warrants repeating. It is a condition called contact lens-induced limbal stem cell deficiency. Permanently reduces your eye's ability to heal itself. And then this is the reason why. So this is a 3D scan of a contact lens, a scleral contact lens on the eye. This is a rigid lens because soft lenses don't photograph super well, and no one really does that with soft contacts anyway. But the main thing that I want to show you here is in the middle here. This lens is smaller than my icon. It's about half the size of my little arrow here. When we move over here to this area, the limbus, that's now bigger than my icon. That's bigger than my icon. It's thicker in this spot. These lenses need to be thicker in this spot. Otherwise, they won't stay in the right spot. They'll fold, they'll bend, and they'll fall off your eyes. So this is part of the design of these lenses. But because you have so much more thickness here, that's a lot less oxygen getting to that area. Also, there's a higher risk of it rubbing on that area, and that friction is also going to damage those cells. I just want you to be aware that these lenses are not good for your eyes. If you do decide to wear these lenses, please, I beg you, only wear them for your photo shoots. Only wear them for your skits, and then take them out. And we've got a list of some do's and don'ts of contact lenses. Some of these we've already been over, and some of them are a little bit new. So the ones we've already been over, I'll kind of skip. So the first one on the do's list, do get an optometrist or licensed optician to teach you how to wear contact lenses. Don't get your friend, your cousin, your neighbor to teach you how to put lenses in. It might go okay, but they're not trained in how to troubleshoot. What works for one person doesn't always work for another person. They don't know all the information. They're probably going to miss telling you something about certain hygiene things that you need to do with the contact lenses. So please always get an optometrist or licensed technician to teach you how to put the lenses in and take them out. Also, wash your hands every time before handling contact lenses. This seems like a no-brainer, but people are not always the smartest. I have seen so many people just pop their lenses out without washing their hands and pop them back in again without doing anything. And it's a really good way to get an eye infection. Just wash your hands. Clean and rinse your lenses before and after every use. This kind of goes along the same line of hygiene. Just, make sure you wash all the bacteria and debris off those lenses. That way they'll be more comfortable and they'll be more bacterial resistant. Put your contact lenses in before applying any makeup. This also seems like a no-brainer, but some people often forget. They'll go ahead and do all their makeup and then, oh, no, I have to put my contact lenses in. This is not a good idea because then you'll often end up with makeup on your contact lenses. So always put your contact lenses in first. And then replace your lenses as scheduled. The one exception to this is, again, those lenses that say that they're good for a year. Don't keep them for a year. There's a lot of reasons why this is not good for your eyes. So they say they're good for a year because that polyhema material, it's pretty stable. It's very stable under solution and that sort of thing. So it's not going to break down very easily, unlike some of the silicone hydrogel ones. But over time, it actually loses its water content. And as I said earlier, all the water content is how that lens is transmitting oxygen. the polyhema itself doesn't transmit any oxygen. They've actually done studies on these lenses, and after about 90 days, these lenses have lost so much water that their oxygen transmissibility goes down to the point where they're not healthy for the eyes. So in Canada, these lenses are only advertised as 90-day lenses. That's going to be the biggest difference between your local retailers, and buying them overseas, is that they're advertising their lenses for 90 days as opposed to 1 year. The other thing that can happen to those lenses over time is, again, the front surfaces can break down a little bit, and they'll become more, they'll create more friction on the eyes. And then, the more often you're putting them in the solution and taking them out, that can warp the lens, that can chip the lens, tear the lenses. And you also don't want to just be storing these lenses in solution for months at a time, which is, if you're only wearing them for cosplay, you might wear them twice in a summer and then just store them for a year and think you can wear them again the next year. If they're just sitting in that solution for a year, that's a really good way to get a bacterial eye infection, because the preservatives in the solution do not last. So don't sleep in your contact lenses. I think we already went over that. Don't swim or shower in your contact lenses. Don't store them in water. Again, acanthamoeba, fungal eye infection. You don't want that. Don't top off solution. That kind of goes back to the preservative in the solutions. If you just top it off, you're not getting as much bacterial resistance in your solution. So always empty the solution and fill it up with new solution. Don't overwear the contact lenses. So don't wear them for more than 8 hours at a time. You're going to greatly deplete your eye of oxygen. Don't wear your 1-day lenses for 2 days. I know a lot of people who do this, and again, especially if it's a silicone hydrogel lens, those ones, they break down. The daily lenses are really thin, and they're really cheaply made, and they're kind of meant to break down after 24 hours. So don't wear them for a second day. The same thing goes for the ones that say they're 30 days. That doesn't mean 30 wears. That means 30 days. If you only wore them twice, they still need to be thrown out after 30 days. This one, again, seems like a no-brainer, but some people just decide to do this anyway. So don't wear chipped, torn, or warped contact lenses. This is how you get corneal abrasions or scratches on the front of the eye, scrapes and scratches. And then my last slide on, one more thing. The golden rule of contact lenses: if in doubt, take them out. Your eyes are red, your eyes are blurry, your eyes are watery, your eyes are itchy. Take the lenses out. Take the lenses out, and if anything continues to be irritating to the eyes after the lenses are out, please go see your optometrist. The last one about the contact lenses here. So I did do a little bit of research into where you can actually legally buy contact lenses, colored contact lenses in Canada. There's a whole swath of retailers that have had their wrists slapped. These are the 3 that I found that are still ones that are or have licenses to sell in Canada. So Lux, ColorView Lens, and Primal Contact Lenses. The Primal Contact Lenses are the lenses that we had from Lindy Cosplay Supplies, one of our sponsors. They supply the Primal Contact Lenses. I'm prefacing this with a little bit of a disclaimer. I personally am not much of an eye makeup wearer. This isn't really my area of expertise. Most of the information from these slides is paraphrased and being passed forward from other presentations that I've attended on this subject. So I wanted to give a thank you to those presenters, Dr. Dahl, Dr. McCann, and Dr. Ishram. So I'm just going to start by talking a little bit about cosmetic ingredients and regulations. There is a whole ton of prohibited and restricted cosmetics in Canada. You can look up the Health Canada hot list for cosmetic ingredients, and it will bring up this list. I took just a quick screenshot of it on the side there. There is a lot of them. And yet there's still a lot more that can be harmful to the eyes that are not on this list. And the regulation around labeling and that sort of thing around cosmetics is pretty wishy-washy. You can get a lot of people putting buzzwords on their cosmetics like organic, or my personal favorite, real ingredients. What are you using it as an alternative? Imaginary ones? Of course it's real. Otherwise it wouldn't exist. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of regulation around these buzzwords. I wear imaginary makeup every day. It's so pretty. It's really healthy and safe for your eyes to wear imaginary ingredients. All right, so how can we keep our eyes safe? So here's a few brands that carry some products that are safer for the eyes. So Ilia is a really good one that I've heard of. I thought they were Canadian based, but I was looking more and apparently they're not. Petit Vour, they sell a lot of the like quote unquote cleaner cosmetics, Detox Market, and 100% pure. Again, I haven't done a whole lot of research into a lot of these. These are just, again, being passed forward from other lecturers. I did at least check that all 4 of these do sell and ship to Canada. A couple of the ones that I had didn't make the list because they do not ship to Canada. And I think most of our audience is in Canada. I know what you're thinking, but doctor, I only wear makeup for cosplay and I'm broke. And those other brands that you just mentioned are kind of expensive. They are. So if you're like me and you only wear your makeup for like cosplay or special occasions, you're probably okay to wear the cheaper brands. Just try to follow the guidelines and throw them out every 6 months. Makeup does not have any regulations regarding expiry dates. So the general rule is throw it out every year, and if it's mascara, throw it out every 6 months. My recommendation is to find smaller ones. If you can, like the sample size products. Don't use the testers in store. Those are terrible. Those are nests for bacteria. But if you can find like sample size products, those are really nice if you're only wearing makeup a few times a year. Try to stick to powders instead of creams and liquid. Powders, because they're dry, they don't harbor as many bacteria in them. Your creams and liquids will have to be thrown out more frequently because they're more moisturized. They have more moisture in them. And definitely stock up on disposable makeup brushes. Lots of beauty supply stores and pharmacies will carry just packs of the disposable brushes, especially mascara brushes. You have a lot of bacteria that kind of live on your eyelashes and eyelids, and those mascara brushes can get really gross, and in turn, your mascara can get really gross. So if you use the disposable ones and then just throw them away, you're getting a lot less contamination. And then regardless of what makeup you use, always invest in a good makeup remover. If you're putting cheaper products on your eyes and you're wearing them for 4 hours and then you're completely removing them, that's better than if you put them on your eyes and then you don't remove it, or you leave it on your eyes, or the cleaner doesn't take all the product off. So equally as important as your cosmetics is the cosmetic remover. If you sleep with makeup on, you're going to increase your risk of dry eyes. You're going to increase your risk of getting allergic reactions. You can increase your risk of getting corneal abrasions from particles getting into the eye and scratching the front surface of the eye. Blocked meibomian glands. We haven't talked about those yet. Those are those little glands in behind the eyelashes. If they get blocked up by makeup, then you're not getting enough tears onto your eyes, and they can also become infected. Demodex. These are little mites that live on your eyelashes. Pretty much everybody has them. Don't be scared of them. They actually are a little bit helpful. They help to clean up dead skin, but if you're wearing a lot of makeup, they really like that, and then you'll have more of them, and then they'll be even more irritating to your eyes. And then, of course, infections. So good makeup removers are generally the oil-based ones. So jojoba oil, shea oil, argan oil are the ones that I've heard are kind of the best. Then the micellar-based ones, they're kind of like the soapy ones that get rid of a lot of kind of like the oilier makeup. Try to avoid alcohol-based makeup removers. That's going to really dry out your eyes. And then try to avoid anything with fragrance or preservatives, because that's where you're going to get a lot of allergies. And you can also use the microfiber cloths. Those are usually pretty good for the eyelids and eyelashes, and not as much risk of stripping your eyes of the natural oils and that sort of thing. So here's a few brands that a lot of optometrists recommend. Wheel of Eyes, Zocular, Lid and Lash, that's the one I use, and Bioderma is one that is a little bit easier available and also pretty good. And then I Do need to mention the eyelash extensions and false eyelashes. Do you know that there's a good reason that our eyelashes are the length they are? They actually help to keep dirt and debris away from our eye. They make a little air current that pushes those things away from the eye. Ideally, the eyelash length should be about 1/3 the width of the eye. And if they're longer than this, they're actually going to reverse that current and pull the air towards the eye. So you're going to get more dirt and debris and allergens towards your eye if you're wearing eyelash extensions. Also, most eyelash glues are highly toxic to the eyes. So you don't want any that have formaldehyde or latex in them. That's really common, and that's not nice for your eyes. The eyelash extension glues, the permanent eyelash extension, those glues take about 5 hours to set, and that glue can easily get into the eyes and cause a lot of problems. I have seen this go wrong far too often. This is one of my least favorite things to see is a patient in my chair that has eyelash extensions. They are gross to look at under a microscope. And a lot of people, when they have them, are too scared to clean their eyelashes properly. It's gross. So in terms of false eyelashes, again, try to limit your wear time because they're going to dry out the eyes a little bit. I've heard good things about Liddy lashes. These are self-adhesive lashes. Never tried them myself, but apparently they're pretty good. And again, I haven't tried them myself, but I just love the idea of this. Magnetic eyelashes. They come with an eyeliner that has a little bit of earth magnets in it, and then the lashes magnet to your eyeliner, which I don't know. I just think that's kind of cool. Don't store them with credit cards. I think one of the presenters that I went to maybe had personal experience with this, so I just thought I would mention that. They can demagnetize your credit cards. And then here's a few do's and don'ts of makeup. Again, some of these will have already gone over, and some of these will be repeats. So do invest in a good eye makeup remover. You don't want any makeup left on your eyelids or eyelashes overnight because you're going to get dry eyes, Demodex. You're going to block up your meibomian glands, and it's going to be irritating. Throw away your makeup, especially the mascara, every 6 to 12 months. Use clean disposable makeup brushes. And this one's coming up again. Put your contact lenses in before applying any makeup. Again, you don't want to get any makeup on your contact lens, and it's a good way to cross-contaminate your contact lens with bacteria as well. So don't sleep with any makeup on. I think we've been over that. Get eyelash extensions. Don't get eyelash extensions. I hate them. Please don't. I'm not going to be able to stop any of you from getting them, but they're my least favorite thing. And don't overwear your false eyelashes because that, again, can dry out the eye. We didn't go over this one, but don't get permanent eyeliner. That goes along the sort of the same lines as don't get eyelash extensions. Permanent eyeliner will permanently damage your meibomian glands, which will permanently reduce the amount of tears your eye is capable of producing. I'm not here to stop you. That's why I said I won't stop you. But yeah, eyelash extensions are my least favorite thing to look at under a slit lamp. And don't put makeup on the waterline. So that's that line between your eye and the eyelashes. Remember, that's where those meibomian glands are. If you put makeup here, those meibomian glands are going to get filled with makeup, and they're going to get blocked up. And these glands don't stop producing tears. They will continue to produce tears. You will get eyelid swelling. The tears will dry up and become kind of crusty and gross. And you can get styes. You can get, we call it chalazion, infected eye meibomian glands. None of these things are very much fun. I actually have, again, here's one more. This is the last one, the last gross thing that I have to show. I have a little video of someone expressing meibomian glands that have been blocked for too long, and the tears have all basically congealed in there, and they should be the consistency of oil. And you can see in this video that if these glands get blocked for too long, those tears will no longer have the consistency of oil. So here it is. Look away. So this is someone taking forceps and forcibly expressing the tears out of these glands. Those are tears. Those little white strings, those are tears. They should be the consistency of oil. This is what happens if those glands get blocked. Gross. So these are my kind of general takeaways for healthy eyes. First one is make friends with photo editing software. either yourself or have friends that are good with photo editing software, the best way to keep your eyes healthy is to not wear contact lenses and to not wear makeup. So if you're wanting to not wear contact lenses or makeup, or you can't for whatever reason, you can Photoshop the color of your eyes to be different. You can Photoshop yourself to have eyelashes, beautiful long eyelashes. It's not that hard. It takes 2 seconds to look up a video. It takes 2 minutes to watch the video on how to change the color of your eyes. We're not going to watch it right now, but just for some math, it takes approximately 2 weeks to fully clear a contact lens peripheral ulcer. So 2 minutes, 2 weeks. How much time are you willing to commit to your eyes? Beware of what you're putting in and around your eyes. These are some websites where you can actually check your products if you would like to just, see what's good in those products, what's bad in those products, maybe some products you want to throw away or avoid buying in the future. This is more for the people who really care a lot about this. You can take a screenshot of this slide if you'd like. I'm going to navigate away from it here now. Patch test or try out any new products well before any convention. You don't want to get an allergic reaction or find out that your contact lenses are going to be really irritating for your eyes the day of a convention. You don't want to be the person walking around with red, puffy eyes all day because you didn't test your eyeliner or your new mascara. So yes, please try, patch test new products well before any conventions. The best practice is to only wear your colored contact lenses when you need them. So I'd recommend trying to only wear the lenses for your masquerades and your skits and your photo shoots. If you're wearing them all day, opening ceremonies to closing ceremonies, you're really going to dry out your eyes. You're really going to limit the amount of oxygen you're getting to your eyes. And generally, your eyes are not going to be happy come the Monday after the convention. Always remove all makeup from around your eyes before sleeping. Also, always remove your contact lenses before sleeping. I don't know why that didn't make it in there, but yes, remove everything from your eyes before sleeping so that you don't get any of those bad things that we are already talking about. And then the last one, please seek medical help if you have any problems. I see too many patients who have waited 2 weeks from their eyes starting to be sore or red, and by that point, they've already lost vision that can't be regained. All medical eye appointments in Canada are covered. So please, if you have any issues, if you have any doubts, if you have any irritations in your eye, please go see an optometrist. You can go to a walk-in clinic as well, but your optometrist is going to know better and probably be able to see you faster. So please, if you have any problems, this is the main takeaway of my whole presentation. Go see your optometrist. Thank you. That's the end. Is there any questions or other comments from the chat?
So I have an example of a cosplay contact lens.
Mm-hmm.
And on the side, I don't know if my thing won't necessarily be able to see it, but it says BC. What does that mean?
BC is the base curve of the lens. So that is the curvature of the bottom surface of the contact lens.
And how would one know what base curve they are?
In general, with a soft contact lens, a base curve doesn't really matter because it's flexible. Base curves are generally between 8.4 and 9.
And how about a DIA? What does that mean on the side of the box?
That's the diameter. That's the diameter of the contact lens. So your typical contact lens is between kind of 14 and 15. And if that number is higher than 15, those are your circle lenses. Again, those are the ones that will permanently reduce your eye's ability to heal itself. It bears repeating.
Okay. Carry on to answer your questions in the chat. I just thought that would be a good one because I didn't hear that you covered that, and I have them right here. Okay.
You're right, I didn't cover that. I actually have the Air Optics Colors one here. It actually shows me the DK on this as well is 110. I thought they stopped putting that on lenses because silicone hydrogels were so high, but this one still has it on it. What am I missing here? So my complaints about my eyes are covered without insurance. You'll need a valid healthcare number, so you'll need like an OHIP number. But any medical visits are covered. If you need to get a prescription, like for an antibiotic eye drop, that's where your insurance is going to help you out. But the appointment itself to see the optometrist should be covered. Unless you're visiting another province, then they'll make you pay, and then you can usually get it reimbursed. Someone used a permanent marker to change the color on their contacts. Oh no. Did that even work? Cosplay horror story, or it's a whole entire section on contact lenses. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. There's a whole lot of contact lens issues out there that people are not quite aware of. Oh, do I have any other horror stories? The one that really sticks in my head is I had a student doctor working with me a few summers ago, and she actually became an optometrist because she had to battle acanthamoeba because she was wearing colored contact lenses. She wasn't doing it for cosplay. She was just a dumb high schooler who had ordered contact lenses from Korea because she wanted her eyes to be pretty. She doesn't do that anymore. But yeah, she had to fight acanthamoeba in her eyes. And she is very grateful that she still has 20/30 vision in that eye. A lot of people don't end up with any vision at all after acanthamoeba. And that's actually what prompted her to become an optometrist, because her optometrist was able to finally get rid of that infection. And she wanted to make sure that she was able to help other people with the same issue, or better yet, prevent the same issue. That's why I'm here. I'm always on the Discord if you have other questions.
That's true. Well, thank you so much, Kiara. That was a great presentation, and I learned a lot. And I have contact lenses, but I haven't done any cosplay contact lenses because you don't usually have to color your eyes to go underneath the mask. But
yes, you only have 2 eyes. You only have 2 eyes, and there's so many things that can go wrong, and there's not a whole lot of ways to treat a whole lot of them. If one of your eyes goes, there's no cybernetic eyes at this point that you can use to replace them.